about top of the hour in time. We got this Nerve 2 Activator call started. I want to welcome everyone to tonight's Tuesday night call with Dr. Marvin. I want to remind everyone that we are recording this call tonight, of course, and it will be available. You can access it through docmarvin.com, and the information is up there for the recorded call. This is call number 42 tonight, and it's going to be available shortly after we finish. But I do want to remind everyone that, of course, protandim is not intended to heal, mitigate, treat, or prevent any disease, but we do know that our laboratory studies show us that 40% reduction in oxidative stress is achieved in 30 days, and it keeps getting better after that. And I think it's time to get on with the program tonight, Doc. What do you got in store?
We've got a great treat tonight, Steve, a great, great treat. I've emphasized for quite a while that this not only impacts many different abnormalities of physiology in your body, and it goes into every cell and acts just like an intracellular shampoo. It cleans your body from pent up, built up, saved up free radicals. Also is a great anti-inflammatory, great antifibrotic, and this is something that there's no competition with. There is no other effective, safe NRF2 activator in existence. There's two of them that have been tried to be put on the market. One of them is being held up because of too many people dying to take it. It's in Europe in tests. But tonight I want to emphasize the other part. Not just a change in health, but a change in finances which stabilizes a family. The legal profession says that $800 a month is enough to stop a majority of divorces, because the biggest cause of divorce is finances. Now there may be ancillary causes of divorce, but the biggest cause is finance. And so tonight I want to hear a testimony of a dear sweet lady up in northern Nebraska that I signed up a year ago yesterday. November 19th was her first anniversary as a distributor in LifeVantage. And I know this lady. She's a wonderful person, and she's done unbelievable things with this technology for her family. And she has several kids. She'll tell you about them. And Pat, are you ready to go?
I am ready to go, Doc.
Okay, you may have to speak up a little bit so everybody can hear this, because we want a good recording, Pat. You're a blessing to me from the moment I signed you up. You have been an absolute blessing in the way you've taken this and the way you've been coachable and teachable. And I'm going to turn it over to you. This is Pat Lammers, a Pro 6 in 1 year, and going for Pro 7. It's all yours, Pat.
Thank you, Dr. Marvin. I am very honored to be here with you, and it actually was my blessing when you came into my life in this way and I got registered with you. I'm going to start by just giving you a little bit of background of where I came from. I got married in 1980 and began having children in 1981. My 8th daughter was born in the year 2000. So it was when I started having children that I really got interested in health and wellness. And I just started reading books because I knew that the best way to keep my children healthy was to give them good nutrition. So that's what I learned how to do. My husband farmed when we got married, and that, supported us for a number of years. But as farming went on, it just went downhill, and for us, it just kept going downhill. And we ended up filing bankruptcy, and then we ended up selling the farm. This was all in about probably around 1995. So we lost everything. We were able to stay living on the farm, but he had to go get a job and try to support us that way. And we kind of skimmed along that way for a while. I learned about another nutritional company and got started with that when I always wanted to do a home business. so I was looking around for one, but I didn't want to do network marketing. I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but my attitude towards network marketing was not good. I heard about the compensation plans, and I saw people stocking up products in their garages, and stories about people getting kicked out because they didn't keep an automatic order, and it just didn't sound like the kind of business I wanted to be in. But when I heard about some of the wellness products that were out there and what they could do for you, I decided to change my attitude towards network marketing, and that's what I did. That's one of the great things about being a human being. We do have the ability to change our mind. So I got involved with that company, and it had already reached the plateau mark where it wasn't in the building stages anymore. So I really didn't make much progress in that company as far as the money went. But I decided that working in the wellness industry was really where my heart was at, and I really wanted to help people, and I wanted to help them be able to get off of drugs and live a healthy life. So I wanted to stay in this field. But because that company, my business never took off, I had to go get a job, and I worked in a call center where I took incoming calls for credit cards. Worked at that job for 2 years. Boy, I thought I was handling it pretty well, but when I quit, my blood pressure went down, so I guess I maybe didn't handle it as well as I thought. But I continued to talk to people about wellness, and I learned about a gentleman in my hometown of Gregory, South Dakota, and he was dealing with stage 4 prostate cancer. And so I wanted to get some medical help with that. And I had known that Dr. Marvin, he had been doing different meetings, and I had been to his different meetings and got his phone number. So I called him about this gentleman, and I was asking him about, some various products to use, and he would say, well, if it was me, I'd have to give him protandim. Well, I wasn't really looking for another product to sell either. I thought I had the best out there already. And so I just kept going back to these other products. And he kept going back to protandim. So I finally said, okay, well, tell me about this thing. I figured he was going to tell me about a drug or something. And so he started telling me about it, and my jaw was kind of dropping, and I kind of went to the floor when he told me it was one product, and it was $40 a month. So I actually hung up the phone, and I had to think about it for a couple of days. But I called him back, and I said, are you telling me that I can have one product, just have them take one pill a day, $40 a month, and that's their whole protocol, and that's the whole program? And his response was, yes, that's what I'm telling you. So I jumped on board with that, and I've been just thrilled with it ever since. I think the biggest thing that helped me in building this business was that I made time in my schedule to do it. If you have another job or there's just other things you're doing, you're not taking the time to work this business. So that's probably the single best thing that I did, was just take the time to do it. The thing I like about this is it lets you take charge of your own life. I'm going to back up a little bit. When we were in the days when the farming was just going downhill, and we were filing bankruptcy, life can just get kind of messy. And if you're dealing with children, they don't always make decisions that you like. And things kind of, it just started going the wrong way for us. And there was a lot of circumstances, but just to make a long story short, we ended up getting our children taken away from us by the state of Nebraska. There was just things going on, and I knew I needed help with this, and I reached out for help, and people started jumping to conclusions and making all kinds of assumptions, and they ended up taking our children away and tried to prove what they were trying to prove, and found out that it wasn't right. So we ended up getting our children back. Those were some pretty dark times in our family and in our lives, very dark times for me. And as time has gone by, time heals a lot of wounds, so we get better every day, but that was a pretty big tsunami that hit our family. And I decided that I was going to not blame other people for the situations that we had gotten ourselves in. And I think that's one thing that really can help a person to take charge of their life is, the choices that you make really determine how your life is going to go. So let me just regroup here for a minute. So, when the children were taken away, I could have blamed other people. I could have blamed my parents. They did this or didn't do that. I could have blamed my husband. I could have blamed the state. Could have blamed, just all kinds of people. But I chose to take responsibility for where my life was at. And I knew that the choices I had made during my life had really put me where I was at. And so when you take responsibility for your own life, it's just easier to work through your issues, even as hard as they can be. Another thing that really helped me was I was out at the Pro-Side Summit, and I was just sharing some stuff. I was talking with Steve Kelsey. I don't know if you remember this, Steve, but we were talking there that day, and I was just sharing some of the things that I've been through and wondering about why does it feel like I have to go through all these things myself? Sometimes you can just really feel isolated. And Steve reminded me about the verse in the Bible, or the story about Noah and his family. And in there it says that Noah was a righteous man. It didn't say that his family was a righteous family or his wife was a righteous woman. It said that Noah was a righteous man. And he pointed out that perhaps Noah was put in that position to save his family. And sometimes when we're out here dealing with our issues and we feel like we're all alone and nobody's working with us, well, we may be the ones that have been put in this position to save our families. So that was easy. That made it easier for me to move ahead with this and, work through issues and get through that stuff. Another thing that I try to keep in mind is that entrepreneurialism is what really got our country started. Entrepreneurs are out there, they have a dream and they have a mission and they work at that until they see that through. And entrepreneurs are what we are also. And we have a dream and we have a mission and we just need to work until we see that through. So during the time of life when the farm was taken away, my husband's dream was shattered. The kids got taken away. My dream was shattered. But God does give you second chances. And I would hear people talking about that. I listened to the radio and listened to these preachers on there, and they would talk about a God of second chances. And I thought, wow, are you kidding? I'm never going to get my second chance. But when I talked to Dr. Marvin that day and I got involved with Life Vantage, that was a second chance for me. So there may be some people out there who are struggling with issues, just finding life pretty burdensome. But Life Vantage has really been, it has been our second chance. We had lost everything. We're getting things back. Building this business has been fun. It's been exciting. And Dr. Marvin invited me down to Lincoln to do a meeting with him one time. Probably about 9 months ago now, and I was praying and trying to figure out what I was going to say, how was I going to give this talk, and the Lord just put it on my heart to share with people that they could be as happy as they give yourself permission to be. I had found myself, with all the way I've messed up. I explained some of the ways I've messed up, and I thought that nobody had messed up worse than I had. But I had locked myself in this prison of unforgiveness. And when you're in that prison, there's not really any place you can go. Forgiveness is the only thing that's going to open up our hearts and let us heal. So that phrase, you can be as happy as you give yourself permission to me, is really what the Lord gave to me, and how that helps me to open up and to keep going here. So all I can say to everyone is just give yourself permission. Give yourself that permission to open up, to forgive yourself, because we are all children of God, and He's out there to take care of each and every one of us. And we just need to give Him the freedom to do that by self-forgiveness and giving ourselves permission to enter into that joy and happiness that's out there for us. So I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my story, Dr. Marvin.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What is your goal?
My goal? My goal is to be able to make enough money so that my husband does not have to go to his job anymore. He's 63 years old. He works 12 to 14 hours a day. He has myasthenia gravis, and his muscles are aching. He's sore all the time. He went to the doctor, and the doctor told him the best thing he could do is take 6 weeks off and just rest. So the first thing I want to be able to do is bring my husband home so that he can enjoy a better health. And I also want to provide a better home and a better life for my children and my family. And I'm working to change our circumstances, kind of pull us out of this rut that we've gotten ourselves into, and change the circumstances of our life. And in doing so, you know, when you make decisions to do something like that, it unlocks something for other people. It helps them to be able to make those kinds of decisions too. So that's my goal, and that's what I'm working towards.
How happy are you allowing yourself to be?
I'll tell you, I'm allowing myself to be happier and happier every day. When you've been into the depths of darkness that we were in, you know, you feel like, truly, I felt that I was never going to live again. Losing the farm, losing all our income, your family taken away from you, it just feels like you are never going to live again, you're never going to be happy again. And when I was at Las Vegas at that last Elite Academy that we had, I didn't know a person could be as happy as that. God truly is a God of second chances, and as unworthy as you know, we sinners are, I cannot imagine how good a God is that gives someone that's messed up as much as I have such a second chance.
Well, I was very blessed when you came up to me at the Elite Academy in Las Vegas and said, I never thought I'd be this happy. I'm so happy I can't believe it.
It was just the most fun I have had in years and years and years.
And see, folks, the beautiful port of this testimony is immediately Pat was coachable, teachable. I've never had a student, I've never had anybody that I've taught that was quicker to receive this than Pat. And she is blessed now, and she doesn't have the financial agony she had before. She isn't where she's going to end up, but she's going strong. She's pressing for the prize, and the prize is going to be Pro-10. And I don't have a vestige of a doubt that Pat will not make Pro-10, because she's got her goal set. She's been motivated. I asked her after about the first 6 months, because she was making promotions rapidly, and I said, you're living in a sparsely populated portion of the United States in northern Nebraska. There's about 3 miles between jackrabbits up there. And I said, how can you do it, Pat? What motivates you? And she said, when a mother has hungry kids, it motivates her. And I'll never forget that moment you told me that, Pat.
Well, another thing, you know, when we were talking that first time, when I decided to join the company, your comment was, all I want to do is help people. I want to help as many people get off as many prescription drugs as possible. And, you know, that's been my goal also, to do that. So I knew I wanted to be part of that cause. And so when you're out there helping people, it's going to come back to you.
You can't outgive God.
Right. And I do want to leave this world a better place than when I came into it. And I think our country is in deep trouble. And I think Roy Spence really spelled it out for us when we were out there and talked about how our country was started by entrepreneurialism. Leif Erikson, he had a dream. He had a mission. He was looking for a new world, and he found it. And then a few years later, Christopher Columbus, was also looking. He had a dream, and he was looking for a new world. Those men were willing to do whatever it took to find their dream. And that's the group of people that I'm in with Life Vantage. These are the people I want to rub elbows with. You tend to be most like the people that you associate with. And the people I meet in Life Vantage, they're working toward their dream. They're working toward their goal. And we all want to make America bring her back to what she stands for and what she was started for.
Yeah.
And, this is just a mission that, there's no better one out there.
Well, I really want to thank you, Pat, for sharing your heart and telling us things that you didn't have to tell us, didn't have to tell anybody, but to emphasize the opportunity that you discovered with Life Vantage in this company. And that's what the golden part of your testimony.
Well, and I want to help others, and that's my purpose in sharing my story is, people are out there, we all have challenges. The same wind blows on us all, and sometimes it knocks us down. But just, you can get back up. There's always somebody out there to help you. And the other thing is when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You talked about how I was coachable. Well, my heart was ready. And this is what I needed, and suddenly there you were. And that gets into the positive thinking. We could talk another hour on that aspect.
Sure.
Matt, I would like, I remember a story that Doc Marvin told way back when you first came into this business and did your first meeting. And there's a lot of folks out there probably listening that think, well, gee, Pat's got special, there's something really special about Pat, and she's got a lot of great skills and all the rest of this, and full of confidence, and talks like a pro, and gee, she's a Pro 6 leader. And I remember well that story that Doc told. And would you mind sharing that with the folks just to build up some people, let them understand that everybody has starting places?
I would love to share that, Steve. And what I want to start out with saying is, all those things you talked about people must think I have something special or that I have some skills or something. For years and years, when I first started in network marketing, I was sitting out there in the group, in the audience. And I thought that about the people on stage. They've got something that I don't have. And, they would talk about how they're just as common as we out there are. And I thought, no way. You've got something that I don't have. And now here I am in this position with Life Vantage. And that first meeting that Steve was talking about, boy, I was nervous as heck. I'm not real good at public speaking. I'm learning it and I'm getting better at it, but I was very nervous. And I don't know, we probably had 15, 20 people there at that meeting, and Dr. Marvin was going to get on the phone with me that night, and he was busy with other stuff and wasn't able to do that. So I just sat there in the chair talking to people. I didn't even stand up because I just didn't want to, make it look like I was some professional person that knew how to do this. So, when the Lord puts you in a position, He gives you whatever you need to see it through. And that's what I'm depending on the Lord to give me whatever skills I need, and He is very good to provide everything that I need. So is that what you were referring to, Steve?
Well, I can tell you what I was referring to. You had asked me to be on a speakerphone to answer all the questions of this group. And I had a Bible study that night that I was in charge of, and I had to give. It was the last of a series. And so when I got through the Bible study, I called you. And you told me about being nervous and shaking and trembling, so you pulled a chair up and sat down. And then you told me that your mind went totally blank. You couldn't remember what I had told you. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
And so I said, well, what did you do, Pat? And you said to me, I just spoke from my heart. And you kept saying, oh, I think it was awful. It was terrible. I don't know. I was just speaking from my heart. Remember that?
I do, yeah.
And then I said the big word, did anybody sign up?
And just all of them did.
And she said, Dr. Marvin, everybody signed up, showing the power of sincerity, showing the power of speaking from your heart. You don't have to have an MD degree. You don't have to have a biochemical degree to share this, to touch people's heart to where they can see what the future is in this. Here's a farm lady, a housewife, that got up, forgot everything I told her because of her anxiety over speaking to a group. And she kept beating herself on the back, so to speak, to me, saying, oh, I know the presentation was awful. And then I asked her the question, did anybody sign up? And she said they all signed up. And I said, Pat, you had a wonderful meeting, no matter what. That was a great meeting. And I still believe it, Pat.
And I have proudly shared that with a lot of people, Pat, because it is something that helps a lot of people realize that it's really about caring for people and sharing from your heart. And that's the biggest part of success.
Absolutely. And that's what I heard comments about the Elite Academy, that so many people enjoyed that because the people there were all sharing from their heart. They weren't necessarily professional speakers. They were just common people like the rest of us. They didn't have speeches that they were reading from. They were just talking from their heart. And that's what this company is. It really is a company of hearts. And that's what's drawing, like-minded people to this. We have a powerful force out there going, you guys. We are all so blessed to be part of this. There's so much good we can do.
And what breaks Pat's heart as much as mine is to see people that go into conformity and say, well, this is just another product. Folks, we have a unique product with no competition. No one else has anything like it. And this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Believe me, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. We're starting the 4th year of a multi-level marketing company with a unique product. It's a category creator. There's no other NRF2 activator available that has no toxicity. And here's another thing that really gets me talking about this, is people don't understand how important the fact is. There's 29 medical schools doing research on this with their own money. And Pat just had an encounter this afternoon where the guy in ignorance says, well, medical schools do research with their own money on anything they want to. That is not true, folks. I've taught in 2 medical schools, and I can tell you that is a lie. Medical schools do research on grants. And when you receive a grant, what it is that they grant you money to do research on the topic they're paying for. If it's a drug company, it's their drug. If it's a government, it's a subject they want researched. It's not on the desires of the medical school. To say that shows ignorance on a person that doesn't know what he's talking about. And I emphasize that over and over and over. There's never been any product in history that had this much medical validation. Nothing in your drugstore, nothing in your hospital. It's this kind of backup. This is unique, and it's an opportunity of a lifetime. And I have a hard time conveying that as people look at me with glassy eyes and say, oh, I've heard of a lot of products. Well, fine. If you can't recognize the uniqueness of protandim being a category creator, then there's very little hope. Unless you're teachable and learn something. Go ahead, Pat.
People, a few times to hear that, because it is kind of overwhelming. Because, those of us out here just are not aware of what medical schools are doing. And
Yeah.
so when we first hear it, it really doesn't have an impact. I did have to hear you say that for probably about 3 months, Dr. Marvin, before it really sunk in how big a deal that was.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Pat, for that great testimony to show people that an ordinary person with an extraordinary amount of motivation to get up and go and take control of an opportunity and be teachable along the way, what it can do for you. Pat's working on a 7, and she'll soon be an elite distributor. She's been in 1 year and 1 day. 1 year yesterday. And let that be a lesson for people. The lady that signed me up has been in it for 2 years. She's a 4. That's a difference in motivation. You got to be motivated if you're ever going to do anything in this world. It's not going to be given to you on a platter. You got to go for it. And to change from a JOB, 8 to 5 a day, into an entrepreneur entails this. Conformity is the biggest problem in the United States in business. We conform to what the neighbors are doing. The neighbors are doing an 8 to 5 job. But let me tell you, the Labor Department just announced that 62% of those working from 8 to 5 a day in a JOB job will be on welfare when they retire. Right now, 10,000 baby boomers are retiring every day and will for the next 19 years. It started last year. 20 years, every day, 10,000 baby boomers are retiring. Less than 15% have a viable retirement. That means 85% don't. 8,500 people a day with no viable retirement. Is that an opportunity or not? And what really drives me up a tree is to have someone tell me, Doc, I don't have time to do protandim for LifeVantage. I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for a job. That's conformity. And you know, what we have to do is work to find other people who want to do this as much as we want to do it. That's the key. Show that video 15 times a month and you can't avoid promotions. Sure, you're going to have people that reject you. Absolutely. And the rejections are mostly due to the presentations. But as the more you present, the better off your presentation will be. You learn. And this is a learning organization and a learning business. Your downline will never grow more than you grow yourself. And here's another thing that I run into. People that says, well, I've done multi-level marketing for 30 years. I don't need to go to any meetings. I don't need to read any books. And there are the people that fail. This is a new ball game. This is a new type of multi-level marketing. This is a fabulous compensation plan. But you've got to be teachable. You've got to be coachable if you want to be successful. And I have a lot of people that are not successful. They're trying to do it their way. Only Frank Sinatra could do it his way. And we're devoting tonight to this opportunity type presentation because there's a lot of people who can't see the opportunity to LifeVantage. I can honestly say in my heart's belief that those within the sound of my voice has never been offered a better opportunity than LifeVantage with protandim. Never. The price point is perfect at $40 a month if you have an auto order. It has an unbelievable people in direction, the corporate office, people that are experienced in all aspects of multi-level marketing in this age. This is a different multi-level marketing that was when the first company or two came on as multi-level marketing. This is now uses the internet. This is a whole new ballgame. The opportunity is greater, but you still have to work. The difference between a person working 8 to 5 and one working as an entrepreneur with this type of business is the one 8 to 5 is helping somebody else fulfill their dream. And they're letting that dream provide their future, which may be tenuous, and usually is nowadays. Look how many corporations are going down the tube. We had Hostess just go down the tube in this country, around Kansas City. And the other side of the fence, the one that's an entrepreneur, is taking the responsibility of their own retirement. And they're the ones that are going to know what their retirement is, going to provide for their retirement, and are going to have the best retirements of anything in the United States. So, I just wanted to cap this fabulous testimony of Pat's with a little statement.
How about before I open the lines up for our callers tonight to ask questions, Pat, would you be available to answer a few questions for people that would have some specific questions for you?
Yes, I will be, Steve.
Okay. Doc, I'm going to go ahead and open up the lines, and I want to remind our callers that really for the next few moments we want to address any questions that any of you out there in the listening audience may have, and directing them specifically towards Pat. Later on in the call tonight, we will get into some of the other things that we normally do. But while we have Pat on the line, I really would like to be able to take advantage of that. So just a moment here, let me do a little housekeeping. I ask you also, please, would you identify yourself, your name, and where you're from with your questions for Pat? Thank you.
Unmuted. Muted.
Okay, we've got the lines open. If you want to just simply *6 your phone, that will put you online with us. Do we have anyone with their first question? Okay, anyone else? Anyone on our line tonight? *6 to unmute your phone.
Hello.
Yes, and you are?
Hi, this is Zurika Melnick from Roseville, California. And I just had a question about the product, and if I have someone interested in taking it that has stents in their heart, you know.
Okay, if you want to hold that call for a moment, we're trying at this point to give anyone who has an opportunity to ask any particular questions from our guest speaker tonight to go ahead and bring those up. So if you want to hold on for just a moment with your general question, we'll certainly come back.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sure.
Is there anyone else that would have questions or something for Pat Lammers?
Yeah, this is Peter, and I have a call for Pat. And Pat, did you have any, we're out there talking to people, was there any goal that you had in mind as far as, number of calls a day, or you get 50 presentations probably, but how did you do that? How did you go about setting your goals and achieving those?
Well, I set a goal to reach a certain level, like if I was Pro 1, then I wanted to be Pro 2 in another 2 months. I had goals like that, and then just, giving the 15 presentations every month, getting on the phone and, calling 3 people a day at least. So, just set goals like that.
So it was just inviting 3 people a day to do your activities was kind of like your success. That's cool.
Most of my stuff in the early days was done by phone because, we are in the rural area. It's a long ways between places, and most of my stuff was done on the phone. So I tried to call 3 people a day and, get the 15 presentations in, a month, and then just set my goal for to reach Pro 2 in another 2 months, and then Pro 3, and just up the line like that.
Another thing you did, Pat, to remind you, you were very quick to take on 3-way calls.
Yes.
All of my people that are growing all use 3-way calls. All of my people who are not growing don't use 3-way calls. But Pat latched onto that quickly, and I was hearing a lot of phone ringing from Pat, the 3-way calls, which blessed me.
Yes, because I realized I wasn't getting very far, wasn't getting the sign-ups, and then when I started doing that, and I used to ask people for permission to get a 3-way person on there. And every time I asked permission, they said no. They didn't want to do a 3, the prospect. So once I stopped asking permission and just said, well, just hold on a minute, I'm going to get another person on the phone here to answer that question, and then I would just do it. And so I learned to not ask permission to do 3 ways from the prospect, but to just do it.
Where did your organization scattered? Were they around Lincoln, or did they go all over the country? How did that?
Well, it started in my local area here, and it just went out, branched to different another town in South Dakota, and then I had a friend in New Jersey that she decided to come on, and then I was able to meet some people in Arizona, and they started on. So it's that how that networking goes, and then you never know the people that you know. It's who they know. You know, then you start getting referrals like that. So that's when your business really builds, is when you find somebody else who wants this as badly as you do. That's when it really starts to get fun, and when you start to really grow. And I think the timing in this is so opportune. And if we can just understand that, you know, once a company has reached momentum and got up into that plateauing mark, it's a lot harder. This one, it's who was it that coined that phrase? You know, when you get in the early stages like this, it's like putting your boat out in the water first thing in the morning. The fish just kind of jump in. So I think timing, that's the thing that I try to impress upon people now too, is the timing of this is so perfect. Building your business is much easier now than it's going to be, you know, even in 6 months or a year from now.
You know, another thing, Pat, I remember that at certain points when you had met your goals, you rewarded yourself for meeting your goals. I remember when you told me that, you know what, I've rewarded myself with a new iPhone.
Yes, that's important too. And it's important to do it with your family also. Because, you know, even if my husband and children aren't out there recruiting and, you know, learning this business like I am, they are still sacrificing right along with me. Because they're taking up the household duties and so forth that I'm not doing when I'm out doing this business. So rewarding my own self and then rewarding the family is also important, I think, too, Steve.
That's a great point, Pat.
I appreciate very much your humility and your story. It's been very touching. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another caller. Star 6, do unmute your phone.
I'm on the
Hi,
phone.
I have a question. This is Winona.
Winona, just a moment. There's a gentleman. Would you let him come on first, and we'll have you come second?
Okay.
Gentlemen?
Okay, thank you. My name's Howard. I'm from Rapid City, South Dakota.
Hi, Howard.
I know your neck of the woods well. I'm from that area. My question is, how did you determine that protandim was a worthwhile product to set up a business with? Did you try the product yourself?
Well, I jumped in as a business person immediately. I just, having worked in the wellness industry for the last 10 years, I knew that if a product was this simple, you just take one in the morning with breakfast and that's it, and it's $40 a month. And then when it's got the medical backing that it has, it's got the 29 medical universities doing research with their own money, it just seemed like a no-brainer to me, and I jumped on right away. And, you know, I started talking to some of my friends about it because they had been trying hard also, as long as I had, to get other companies going, and it just wasn't working. And, you know, when they saw this, they agreed with me, and they jumped right on board also. So it was the medical backing that really drew me to this product, the simplicity and the affordability.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm kind of a naysayer on selling things, and I guess I would have to be, you know, I'd have to prove it to myself that the product is worth selling. And
you know, yeah, and I know there's a lot of people out there that do that. I guess when I learned that there was 33 medical universities out there that proved that it works 100% of the time on 100% of the people, I just decided to believe them and go with it.
Sure, I can understand that. Well, I can say this. If I can talk my wife into it, she's a perfect candidate, and if it'll help her, I think I'd be on board.
Mm-hmm.
Do it together as a team, and it'll really pay off.
Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate the information.
Winona, do you want to go ahead?
you. Pat, I was interested in what you were saying about the fact that you worked with telephone calls for several months in that building. When you did the three-way call for the validation and answering the questions after they watched the videos, then I'm wondering, what did you do? How did you do the rest of the presentation on the business part and that kind of thing? What did you use for that part when you were doing telephone?
Well, the first question I asked them was, what impressed you about that video? And then, they would make a comment, and I would wait until they would ask a question. And then I would say, just hold on a minute, and I'll get someone on the phone that can answer that question for you, and I would do a three-way. Once I started doing those three-ways, that's when it really started taking off. The three-way calling. In the Bible, Jesus sent them out 2 by 2. There's just something about having that third-party validation, and rather than trying to do it on your own. And getting a third party on the phone doesn't mean that you don't know what's going on or you can't answer their questions. That is not what this is about. It's about the third-party validation. And then when your downline starts doing the same thing, they're going to imitate what you do. They just do. Whether we like it or not, people watch us and people do what we do. So when you do three-way calls, then your downline's going to be doing them, and they're going to be calling you then when they're looking for a third-party call. Mm-hmm. I can't emphasize the three ways enough.
So with that three-way validation call, they took that through the whole process.
Then you get the expert on the phone, which the expert is just the one that's 100 miles away, and the person doesn't know him. That's what makes them an expert. And they handle the call, and then you turn it back to the bridge person after all the questions have been answered, and then they help them with getting signed on and that stuff. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Do we have another caller?
Hi.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ernest Webb from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Go ahead, Ernest.
Hi.
Yes. Hi, Pat. I've been listening a little bit. I've just become a distributor maybe a month ago. I've been listening about the product for quite a while before I actually went into it. Actually, I heard about it a year ago at a men's conference. This gentleman made a presentation, and at the time, I thought, this is amazing. I mean, we played the dog for things, as far as curing cancer, doing things like that, stuff that will help us. And I've, for a long time, have been thinking, this world is so large, God is so great, that there's the answer to a lot of our problems and things are probably right here. And a year later, after I heard the presentation, I work with wastewater treatment plant, and we give tours, to the public. And a lady happened to be one of her kids were in the group, and she was talking to me, and we just, got to talking. I told her about me losing weight and trying to be healthy and blah. So she made this presentation about a week later, and boom, that was like, man, this is it. So I was going through a lot, last 5 years. I listened to your testimony about things you've gone through, and I mean, it's a great thing. I mean, I've been on the product since February. My fiance, she started in March. So, I mean, I just feel like it's great. I just really want to get to work. I haven't worked as intensely as I want to, because I'm actually working a full-time job, a part-time job, and got agent passed. I'm trying to take care of. I'm trying to get married next month. So I haven't lost the vision. I also get on listening to Dr. Marvin and Steve on Tuesday nights, and some of the other things. I try to grasp and listen and try to pick up things. But all I got to say is, job. You have great inspiration to a lot of people.
Thank you. Well, I hope wish you a lot of success, Ernest. That's fantastic that you're doing this. It sounds like in the nooks and crannies of your life. So just keep on presenting and, do those 3 ways. You're going to have a lot of success.
Yeah, Bible-blind people, they're really good. They've been, saying, hey, we'll go if you can't go, whatever. So I'm just trying to get this wedding stuff out of the way. Me and my fiance, he's getting married, and try to, get that going, and then boom, I'll try to replace this part-time job with Life Vantage.
Well, God bless you. It's a great company to be part of, and it can, the thing with this is there's no limit to how much income you can make. You can make part-time, full-time, or big-time, depending on, if you want to give yourself a raise or what. So, just keep at it. It's fantastic.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
We have another caller.
Hello.
Here. The lady?
Yes, hello. This is Dawn Ann in Indiana.
Hi.
My husband recently discovered that his blood pressure is elevated. Does this help him?
Yes, it works very well on blood pressure. That would probably be a question for you, Dr. Marvin.
Yes, it does alleviate blood pressure. My blood pressure, for example, was running 145 to 155 over 80 to 85 diastolic, and now I consistently run a blood pressure of 96 over 46.
Doesn't sound low.
That's perfect blood pressure, by the way. That blood pressure medication won't aspire to. That's better than medication is capable of, and it has no side effects.
Well, we have no desire to be on medication.
Hello, I couldn't hardly hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this better?
Yeah, what did you say?
Okay, I'm sorry. I said that we have no desire to be on medication.
And let me also just put this into the mix. You got to remember that protandim and Life Vantage is a tremendous business opportunity that comes with a wonderful product.
Yes.
Yes, that's very important to us at this point, too. My husband had a job for a couple of years, and we're both near retirement age, but not there yet for our life savings quickly.
Well, there is a tremendous window of opportunity for those that are willing to go out and take advantage of it.
Well, I have a desire to help others, and just heard about this briefly about 2 months ago. Just heard the name of it, really, and thought, oh, another supplement, I'm not interested. But then today, I met someone who has been working at this for a year now, and is just fired up, and the 2 of us just hit it off. So we spoke for an hour, didn't want to stop.
There's a key point that people sometimes overlook. If you take the wonderful website by the National Institute of Health called PubMed.gov and use that as one of your key resources to understand the science behind supplements and this type of a product, and if you take and use these measuring rod as protandim and the numbers of peer-reviewed studies that you can find on PubMed, then you start comparing any other supplements you can come across. You won't find one that has more science behind it than this one does. And Dr. Marvin has said that repeatedly.
Really want the backup. They want to know that it's real and scientifically studied and proven. So that would be wonderful for anyone.
PubMed.gov, that's where you find it, and that's where the studies come because they've been peer-reviewed by the medical journals.
It doesn't check about blood pressure, but for low blood pressure, would it equalize it then?
Yes. It's a moderator. It won't affect low blood pressure, but it will affect high blood pressure. It's the way it works.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Dr. Marvin, this is Sue Thompson in Texas. Back when protandim first came out, I had been in the hospital. I have 5 specialists that sent me home. I could not stand by myself. I could not go to the bathroom by myself. I couldn't do anything. The friend of mine called Bob and said, I have a product of this Jordan. Would you give it to her and see what happens? And within probably close to 10 days or less, I was walking by myself, doing everything, and it completely changed my life. I was going downhill, and I was literally standing there saying, do you think I'm going to make it? Because I didn't think I was. I never thought that in my life. Nobody could help me. Nobody knew what to do. And she sent that product, and I think it literally saved my life. And so I've been on the product for a while, and then we ran into some financial problems, and it cut me back to half. And I wound up in the hospital. They put me on Coumadin because my heart had an irregular heartbeat, and it was because a lot of the stuff that was going on. And the Coumadin, when I took it, in 3 weeks, my weight went up 25 pounds.
Right.
They blamed it on congestive heart failure. And Coumadin is, to me, rat poison.
It is.
And so I got out of the hospital just recently. And I came home, and I got my protandim. And I started taking 2 a day. And within 2 days, my strength had changed completely. So people that are fiddling around and saying, oh, do I take it, don't I take it, what am I going to do? You know, they're just playing games with their own life and how they feel, to me. You know.
Right. That's great. Thanks for that testimony.
Vehicle that can make our dreams come true. Right. Right. Well, there's not like anything out there. There's lots of stuff out there, but there's not anything like this.
There's nothing out there. We have no equal.
Hello, this is Kathy with in California. I have a question for this lady. Do you have a script to bring in the third party, or what do you say?
Well, when I bring the third party on, I edify the expert to the prospect, and then edify the prospect to the expert. So it depends on who you have on there. You know, you're going to know the person that you're talking to, the prospect. So you just say something about them that builds them up. You know, for instance, if it was like me, you know, she's a housewife and mother and has raised 8 children and really cares about her children. And for the expert, then you say, like if it was Dr. Marvin, I say, well, this is Dr. Marvin. He's been personally trained by Joe McCord. And, I mean, I could go on for an hour on all his attributes, but I try to hold it to being trained by Joe McCord and has 56 years as a medical doctor. So you know who you're talking to. You just have to, you know, edify them to each other.
Okay. So after you, let's say you have any questions, then you say, let me get my partner on the phone and she can answer that for you, or
Yes.
Or if they don't have a question, you say, let me get my partner on the phone and she has a story to tell you?
Jim, I try to wait until they have a question. And it's taken, there was one person that came on, and I didn't think that person was ever going to ask a question. I really had to pump them, you know, until I was able to get them to ask a question, and then got the third party on. But usually it's easier if they have you know, if you're answering a question for them. I guess, yeah, the only time I've gotten the third party, I haven't asked the third party on just, for another reason.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time here today.
You're welcome. And then another thing, when you're doing a 3-way, so you edify the prospect to the expert and the expert to the prospect, and then your job is done, then you don't say any more on the three-way. And
That's very important.
Yeah. And
just listen and learn, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I always have a notepad with me, and I'm writing things down. That's where I learned about everything I learned was on those three ways. If you don't agree with the expert, or you have think it should be said a different way, keep quiet until the phone call is over with, and then get the expert on the phone and go over that with them. You'll have your turn to be the expert when you do your three-way. When you get started getting called to a three-way. But when the expert is on, don't disagree with them or pipe up with anything. Do that after the phone call is over.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That's a very important part, Pat, because I have done three-ways, and they connect me with the prospect, and then the one that's the bridge that connected us spends all the time talking himself. I don't have a chance to get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, that's not, that's not...
It doesn't work.
No.
Now, the bridge is always supposed to be quiet.
You're right.
Hi, Dr. Marvin. This is Diane in Roseburg, Oregon. How are you?
Fine.
Good. Thank you so much, Pat, for all your business tips. And I really appreciate that and learned a lot and took notes and appreciate it. And Dr. Marvin, thank you for all your time that you give to all of us. And I actually have two ladies on the line tonight. One is Joyce in Idaho, and the other is Beverly in Oregon. And I was wondering, they both have questions. One has been on protandim for 1 month, and one just started yesterday on protandim. Joyce, are you on the line? Or Beverly?
They'll need the star 6 or phone to unmute if they're on the line with you.
Oh. Joyce, did you start star 6 for Beverly? Okay, I guess I'll get off until they can jump on when they get
Okay.
Okay, now I can talk. My phone was not working. This is Joyce. How do I change phones? Yes, this is Joyce. Sorry.
Go ahead, Joyce. Go ahead and ask Dr. Marvin your question.
Okay, my question is, I have poor bone density. I have been on your product for a month, and I talked to my doctor about it because I need to do something about bone density, and I only have one kidney. I had kidney cancer. I had a 2-pound tumor. They removed the kidney and the tumor, and I'm hoping now the cancer doesn't come back. And that was 2.5 years ago. But anyway, with the protandim, I was wanting to know if what he wants to do is, my doctor, he wants me to stay on the protandim for 3 months, then he wants to check my kidney again, kidney function with the blood test. And at that time, if he thinks it is good enough, well then, I heard about stuff that's called strontium. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, I heard about that. I can't take any kind of hormones. My mother and my grandfather died of breast cancer, and so I can't take any kind of hormones at all. I have lots of food allergies. So
What's your question?
my question is do you believe that this protandim will help my one kidney because I only have one?
Yes, I do. It helps everybody's kidneys.
Will it be able to come up? Will the protandim be able to bring my kidney? I also have...
What is your creatinine?
I can't tell you that, but I just know that I
That's
have...
the key. You have to know what
I
your,
do too. It's 52.
your creatinine cannot be 52.
Well, he said if it was 60, that it would be normal, but mine isn't.
He's not talking about creatinine.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know. But he said that if I could get it up, then he would say, go ahead and try the strontium.
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what test he's talking about. Normally, kidney function is determined by your creatinine blood level.
Right.
And the higher it is, the poorer your kidney function is. It should be 1 or below.
Oh, okay. 1 or below.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know
60s and 50s and that. It isn't BUN either. Blood urea nitrogen. That's another test. That isn't it, because that isn't even feasible. And creatinine, definitely, you'll never see it at 60.
Okay, so that's something else. I don't know what he's talking about either. But
I don't know either.
the other thing I have to ask is, I am a borderline bleeder. I have a lot of problems I have to be real careful with how much fish I eat because my blood thins real easily. And I was reading on some of the herbs that is in your protandim, that one of them will thin your blood. And
Where did you read that?
I just took a list of all the herbs and I went on the internet and looked them up.
Yeah. You see, that's comparing apples to oranges.
Okay.
Dr. McCourt says there's no change in blood factors.
Okay.
See, Googling will get you all kinds of crazy information. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Well, I was just reading about the individual herbs.
I know, and that isn't good information.
No.
In
Dr.
Google.
Marvin, I have kidney disease also, and my kidneys have stabilized and stayed where they are for months and months and months ever since I've been on protandim.
Good.
And I know that's a good reason for it. So it has not changed. I'm stable, so I know it does help me in that area.
Yes, I've dropped creatinine levels 5 points. I've never had anything at my disposal that's ever done that. I've seen 5 points of creatinine level drop. That's unheard of.
So he
Yes,
should be
it does
running.
help the kidneys. And
So my
3
doctor
months
should-
may not be long enough, depending on the condition of that one kidney the lady was talking about.
Okay, so he should
You
be
keep
checking
taking it,
again.
it will help it, regardless. 3 months, your doctor put a 3-month limit, and he doesn't know anything about the product.
No, he doesn't. And that's
I can tell he doesn't by limiting to 3 months.
Do you
Most
think
doctors know the same amount about herbs and protandim as they do about the soil on Pluto.
Yeah, and my doctor will admit that.
Good.
But he claims he doesn't know anything. He just said he would run those tests because he didn't want me to
It
discuss
won't mean a whole lot if it isn't up to normal. It will be normal if you take it long enough.
Okay, I've only been taking half a pill just because of the fact that I'm concerned about my bleeding problems. So,
Well, you won't see it in 3 months then.
so this is my question: is do you think it'd be safe for me to go ahead and take a whole one every day?
Well, I don't know your case. I'm not your doctor. All I can tell you is Dr. McCourt says there's no effective change in blood clotting from this.
Okay.
That is, I don't know your case. I haven't seen your blood work,
No.
so I can't tell you to take it.
Okay. Well, then I'll just experiment myself and I'll increase it. But it will take possibly longer than 3 months.
If you're only taking half a tablet, I give half a tablet to those under 50 pounds. Are you over 50 pounds?
I think so. Yeah.
Good.
I'm probably, 125.
Okay. Okay, well, that's good.
But
Anybody else have any questions?
Hi, Dr. McCourt. Can I touch Marvin?
Yes.
Jackie, Northeast Georgia.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just met a lady today who has, she barely touched some portal and ended up with bristle worm, which I've never heard of. Something you have.
Yeah. And what's the question?
Well, it's protein and would help with that.
Yeah, protandim will raise your immunity. If she has a parasite, a doctor that can treat her parasites. But it will help your system, you know, in raising your immunity. But it all depends on how much the infestation is of a parasite. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, she's apparently can't get in to see anybody for like 3 months, and
Well, then I'd change doctors and get one I could see within 3 months.
okay. Do you recommend her trying protandim?
Oh yeah, take protandim, but if she's got a parasite growing in her body, she better see a doctor sooner than that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Hi, Dr. Marvin?
Yes.
Hey, this is Lou Miller from Atlanta. I had another question. Mary Patula and this is about you coming to Atlanta. You don't mind me asking you. And I tried sending you something by email, but we're wondering if you were still coming the 19th and if the 20th would work.
I'll have to check on my schedule when it gets closer to it. My email, you may have trouble because I had to do some changes on it because I had 19,000 emails on my account. So I'm using docsnarf@me.com.
Okay.
docsnarf@me.com.
Okay. That sounds great. Well, okay, when you check, we were holding a room at a restaurant because we figured there were going to be too many people that wanted to talk with you, and so we'll just hold on to that for right now.
Okay, and I'll do some checking on it. You check in with me next Tuesday night.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Okay, all right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Robert from up in Oregon.
Hi, Robert.
Hi there. I have a question about starting protandim in an acute situation with kidneys that are borderline, well, actually relatively dysfunctional.
What's the creatinine?
What kind of dosing? What do you start out? One a day? I'm not sure. It's a person that I'm working with, and she gave a number of, I think 8 or 9. There was some G something. I'm not sure what it was, but she's actually going in the
GFR.
GFR, that's what it is. Yeah, the
Or you can have creatinine, and I need to know what the creatinine, but I don't know what the creatinine is. Is he on dialysis?
They're considering that. She's going in this week to have that looked at.
Does he have type 2 diabetes?
I'm not sure if it's 2 or 1, but she does have diabetes.
It's type 2,
Has it for a long
sure.
time.
The biggest cause of dialysis from kidney failure in the world is type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
And, you know, you need to take this to help the situation. Now, how much you take?
Yeah, okay. So
I would normally recommend 1 tablet a day, early in the morning with food, with some fat, and drink as much water as his doctor will allow.
Okay.
Because people that have severe renal failure or kidney failure are put on water rationing sometimes, and you got to pay attention to that. I don't want to do anything that would contradict the doctor.
Right.
So to find out more about
mainly just wondering mainly about the protandim, 1 pill a day, or I've heard 2 pills.
Never. No one. Let me say this so everybody on can hear it. I never recommend anybody starting on 2 pills a day because you're surely going to get cleansing and detoxing, and they're going to get discouraged because they're going to feel miserable and quit. Dr. McCord says, it breaks my heart when I see people giving people so much protandim when they start them.
Right.
It's
Well,
not like any medication. More is better. More is less with protandim. 3 tablets a day are less effective than 2. talking. This is the relationship marketing. And in my experience, and the people that I know's experience, is this. If you don't talk to them, you won't touch them. If you aren't able to talk to them, they will have very small chance of reading an email telling them to go watch the abchealthreport.com or liveit.com. You have to talk to people. Lift the phone, call them, and talk to them. And the more you do it, the better off you'll be. So I wouldn't text anything to anybody unless when you talk to them, they say, well, text me the website. Or if they'll say, yes, I want to watch it, email me the website to see it. I do that after I tell them the website. It's not hard. It's abchealthreport.com or abcliveit.com. Very easy, but I wouldn't do that until you talk to them. You see, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. The key is make him thirsty. And you make him thirsty by talking to him and interacting with him and showing your concern. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's a golden rule. People don't care how much you know about anything until they know how much you care about them. That's the key.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Dr. Myron?
Yes.
I'm Morris from Michigan.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad. I've got skin cancer, and I've had 7 heart attacks and 5 strokes. And so I talk like this more often than enough. I'd like to ask a question about my stepson. He's had schizophrenia. He's on drugs, and he lives in a private home here in Michigan, a group home. And is there anything that you would recommend for him? Will protandim work for him?
You should, but you're going to have his doctor write the order if he's in a group home.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm more worried about you. Are you taking protandim?
Yeah, I've been taking it a little more than 2 months. I started October 1st, and because I got skin cancer, and I got a hole in the back that's slowly closing, and I use the cream on my face, and it's coming along okay, but I take 2 pills a day with that, and in the morning and in the evening, and trying to max out as possible. And my son and wife are in a company called United Technologies, and we work together as one. And we have monthly meetings, or weekly meetings, every Monday between 7 and 11 for like 3,000 people, but about very few show up right now because gas is so expensive. So I show them the protandim video, and what convinces them is the dog jumping on a truck and chasing a little pup all around. Now
I'm about 8 blocks from that dog.
Is that right? Yeah, we love it. Yeah, right. Now with me, I have high blood pressure for the last 8 years. My doctor calls me an anomaly, and he's well known all over the United States, especially here in Michigan. And I got high blood pressure all the time. And this morning, when I got up, I had 201 over 118, which is very high for me, but normal for me is about 180 over 100. And now, when we took the Canadian that was, no, I have to mention it quietly. He probably not to mention Rick Simpson. You might have heard of him. That he
got on marijuana. You don't smoke it, but you take the flower, the male one, and you soak it in alcohol for 11 hours, and you get it down in open air. You get it down to a black paste, and you put it in a gel cap, and I swallow two at night, and it's just that we can't make it continually, and it does wonderful with my blood pressure. It goes down to normal during the time that I'm on it, and I sleep through to the next day, and I'm okay. Next day I have no side effect at all of being tipsy or anything like that. But it works, but I can't get it with normal. So I have to rely on something else. But we're on all kinds of minerals and liquid minerals and liquid vitamins, and it keeps me going. But every Monday, when I finish 4 hours worth of the lectures, and I do microscopy too, so I see a person's blood, and I notice that on protandim, it really separates the blood wonderfully. But I need to know what else I can do to be able to get rid of the cancer and the high blood pressure.
You need to put the cream on your skin where your cancer of the skin is more localized, wherever you're having it.
Yeah, I do that every day, twice a day.
Yeah, where is the area? Your back, your face, or where?
Okay, it's on my back, and it's on my shoulder, and my right side.
Might be a sun and getting tans.
Pardon?
Did you used to lay in the sun?
No, I pretty well stay away from the sun, and
You used to do that.
I'd cut the lawn once a week. That's about all.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Keep taking the protandim. As far as marijuana, I'm not into marijuana for anything.
Yeah. Okay. But keep taking 2 or 1. Go back to 1 a day.
Well, how long have you taken 2 a day?
Let's see. Today's the 19th. It's 2 months plus 20 days.
Well, you can do whatever you want to. I think it's probably better to alternate because that gives you a bounce. And meaning that is 2 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, both with food with fat, and drink plenty of water.
Yeah.
64 ounces is normal for an adult. And do that for 2 weeks, and then go back to 1 a day for 2 weeks, and then back to 2 a day. Try that and see if that'll lower your blood pressure. My blood pressure is 96/46 due to protandim.
Wow. Jeez. That's unreal.
It is.
Man.
It very much is.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, Doc, I think we probably got about time for one more caller tonight. We're kind of getting down to the wind down stages of our call tonight.
Okay? I want to thank Pat Lammers for such a tremendous effort to share her love for the product and her experience of her life with the company. I want to thank her dearly. Go ahead.
You're welcome,
Anyone
Dr. Martin,
question?
and I want to thank you for the opportunity to share. So, thank you.
You always have an
Dr.
opportunity.
Marvin, this is Paul.
Just a second, Paul, hold on. Pat, I do want to say that, of course, I remember our little get-together up when you and I and Marta got to sit around on those sofas up there at the Pro 5 Center. We had an unexpected time there.
Yes, it was. Thank you, Steve.
Paul, you go ahead with your question.
Yes, fibromyalgia responds wonderfully to protandim, does it not?
Yes.
Last week's call, Paul, if you'll tune in to call number 41 on the website, we had a lady share about her 15-minute story at the beginning of the call.
Yes.
I had a cousin call me from Kalispell today, and I had told him the website several months back, but he called me today to find out what the websites were again. Which I gave him.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, did you direct him to the Dr. Marvin's website, docmarvin.com, DOCMARVIN.com?
I went ABC
lorettadilworth.com, mylifevantage.com/31964.
No, what I'm referring to
Marvin. Also Marvin.com. And have a call tonight.
Okay.
How long will this call be available, Steve?
We've got all the calls unlocked, and everything is available up there now. You can access them. Tonight's call, for example, is call number 42. Last week when we had our dear friend from Arizona that came on, she called on fibromyalgia. Where Margaret joined us in Tucson is call number 41. Those are up there. The old archive calls are also available on the website for the ones like that run back into last year, starting in January plus last year. So all of those are available up there for access for people.
Outstanding. Thank you.
And tonight's call will be probably available up there about 5 minutes after we sign off the call tonight. It's processed and up and available.
Thank you, Steve.
Sounds great, Steve.
Well, Doc, I think we've kind of reached that magic 90-minute hour. I think we're probably going to call it a night until next week, and by then we'll be just about ready to jump into. Oh no, we still got one more November call.
Yes.
And let me remind everyone, since we've had a good opportunity to talk some business tonight, let me remind everyone that's still on the call with us that this time period now between now and the end of the year is really strategic for the growth of your business. You know, come January 1, people start making New Year's resolutions, and there's a big uptake in the business a lot of times because people join health clubs and they begin, I want to lose weight or whatever the New Year's resolution may be, and your business will naturally want to take off. But if you invest now and don't get sidetracked and let life get in the way to where you don't devote the time necessary to grow your business during November and December, you won't experience the dramatic increase that you'll be able to find in the first 2 quarters of 2013 if you'll invest now. Because what you invest in your business right now is going to show up 60 to 90 days from now, especially on your commission checks.
Yes. Absolutely. Good words, Steve.
As we round it out tonight, I want to take the opportunity to wish everyone on the call tonight a wonderful time with your family, a happy Thanksgiving, and remember as you gather around the table with family and friends to take a few moments and let everyone share about the things they are thankful for. That will make a special time around each and every one of your tables. So until next week, we want to remind everyone that protandim is not intended to heal, cure, mitigate, or prevent a disease. Only a drug in the United States of America can do that. But we do know that the research has proven that protandim eliminates age-dependent oxidative stress, and it will reduce that level 40% in 30 days in all the people. And a 20-year-old is going to look just like an 80. An 80-year-old is going to look like a 20-year-old. And that's a good thing. Well, Doc, any other final words before we close out?
No, not a bit, and I agree. Be sure and meditate on the blessings you've received and the thanksgiving that you have. We need to be full of gratitude for whatever has happened to us and how God has protected us and how we have been led into this wonderful company. So, that's just the big information for the day. God bless you all. We'll see you next Tuesday.
And a special thanks to Pat Lammers for joining us tonight.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Marvin, and thank you, Steve. And I also want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving and praise God for the direction that our country is going. We know what we have to do to get us going on the right track, so let's just go out and get it done.
And this is Marcia Kelsey. Steve just signaled for me to come over here. I want to also wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. We are